This is the Roller Coaster Podcast, and I'm your host, Lucy Q. Life is a wild ride. It has twists and turns. It's scary, exciting, and downright fun. So throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby, baby. I wanna ride.
Have you ever asked yourself the true motivation behind your goals? How would that impact your life? Joining me today is Robin Tefft, who has an incredible story on how she started on the path to becoming a life coach. Hi, Robin.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you.
So, tell us your story.
Tell us a story. Okay, so a couple Januaries ago, I was driving to work, and I would go to work really early, so it's still dark out, and a lot of two-lane roads, a lot of rural areas, and I was about 5 minutes from where I worked, and on a two-lane road on a blind hill, and there were two headlights coming at me, and like cars coming the other way, a van was coming the other way, and all of a sudden there were four headlights. And there was a truck trying to pass a van on a hill, on a blind curve, on a two-lane road. There was no time to react. It was right in front of me. And I tell you, Lucy, the headlights went right through me. I got past that truck, and I looked at the guy was driving the van, and he had a look of a combination of horror and amazement that I was where I was. And usually when you have those near misses, you get that adrenaline kick, like your heart starts pounding and you're like, oh, you're like your air, but none of that happened. For me, it was like I was watching a movie. So no reaction, no anything. I just kept going, and I got to work. I got out of the parking lot, and then it kind of hit me that holy cow, I should have been dead. And the knees start shaking and the heart starts pounding. And I heard my friend Richard, who was also my pastor, say something that we said to each other all the time: "This is not about you." And I got in the building and I texted him. I'm like, "This just happened. What do you think?" And he kind of ha ha. Remember what we always say? It's not about you. And I said, "Well, what the heck is this about?" And he says, "Well, maybe you better start paying attention." Right. So at that time, I was kind of looking for a new chapter in my life, a new career, all of it. And yeah, I started really pursuing that. And that April, my friend Richard suddenly passed away. He had a massive heart attack and he died almost instantly. And that affected me more than anything else ever has in my life, because you lose somebody who has such an impact on your life and has such, between the spirituality part and the friendship part and the leadership part and the inspiration part and all of it, and all of a sudden they're gone. And that rocked me pretty good. So he was an awesome counselor, awesome counselor. And he had just gotten his master's degree, or was going to get it in May, for counseling. And so a lot of things started transpiring. And needless to say, that August, I started pursuing my education to be a life coach. And that is the story.
Wow. And for me, like I said before we got started, it really struck home with me because I had a similar experience. Driving to work, it was a divided highway, so traffic on my side was all going in the one way. And I moved from the outside lane to the inside lane because my exit was coming up. And it was early December, and there's just enough snow down the middle of the track that sent me into a fishtail. And I mean, on this highway, you're typically doing 120 kilometers an hour. You're going at a good jaunt. And on that particular part of the road, there's usually a lot of trucks and 18-wheelers and that. And I went into I was fishtailing. And I remember holding my breath. And almost at the same time, I looked in the rear view mirror And I can see it was almost like everyone was far enough behind me, and it felt like it stopped. But at the same time, I could see my car fishtailing. It was kind of like this divide. And I don't even know how I recovered. Not only did I recover, I still made my exit, which was just incredible. I mean, while I was trying to recover, I was actually running through my brain, the car is going to flip. This is going to hurt, but I'm going to have to get out of the car as quick as possible.
Wow.
So all of this is going on. I made it to my exit, and I think I was holding my breath too. And then I got into the office, and it was just like the floodgates opened. You know, the adrenaline, the shock, everything running through you. And I had to work up the courage, because it was about a 45-minute drive. I had to work up the courage to get back in the car and go home, because I knew I couldn't stay. And something like that, it really sticks with you, and you do start to be asking, well, wait a second, did something, call it divine, happen? Because, you know, is a wake up for me. Is it just the whole, you know, I always joke saying life gives you whispers, and if you don't listen, it hits you with a 2x4. And it was just like, damn, you know,
Well,
what
you know
is
what,
it that I'm supposed to be doing?
that's funny that you said that, because I actually asked my friend, I said, hey, do you think God was trying to get my attention before this and I just wasn't listening and this is what had to happen? And he said, well, maybe, but maybe not. You know, maybe this is the spot, you know, maybe this is the time. And you know what, driving to work for over, you know, I was doing the coaching thing for another year and a half, you know, part-time. So I was still driving that drive every day, you know, and at first I was kind of apprehensive about getting to that spot. And then I was so grateful that I had the spot that changed everything for me. And I actually went back and, you know, when I had some photos and stuff done, I said, hey, can we go out to this road? And I had pictures taken in the spot.
I thought that's
And
what those pictures were.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have, you know, one facing that where the van or the truck were coming from. So I was at the exact spot where those headlights went through me. And about a month later on the way home, I said, you know what, I really should take a picture on the way that the truck and the van were coming to see what they really were able to see. And they were not able to see anything. Like they didn't see a thing, you know, on my side of the road. So yeah, wake up calls, you know, whatever you choose to believe about them. You know, a lot of people say, well, what do you think really happened? I said, I know what really happened. Like, I have no doubt. Well, you must have reacted. I said, there was no time. I mean, look at the picture. You know, where I was
Yeah.
standing, there was no room to go anywhere, even if I
No.
could react.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no doubt that it's my belief God saved me for a reason, and I'm not gonna miss it this time.
No. I wonder what the guy in the other vehicle was thinking.
Oh, well, who knows what he was thinking? You know, I was like, oh my gosh,
Can you
you're
imagine?
dope. Like you should have been dead too. So you better be thankful that I got saved somehow. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so then you started on
Yeah, then I
the
started on the
path.
coaching
Yeah.
journey, you know, because, you know, like I said, after my friend died, the impact he had on so many people, we actually had to stream his funeral because there were so many people who wanted to be in the building that we couldn't fit. So we had about 1,200 people in the building, and we had at least another 5,000 that streamed it live. And
Wow.
so you talk about an impact that somebody makes, you know, and you talk about a leader doing things the way they're supposed to do them. You know, we have too many stories about leaders falling and doing the wrong things. And this was just an example of somebody who, man, he lived his life the right way, and he made the impact that he should have made, and he did the things that he was supposed to be doing. And that to me is an inspiration, you know, like, okay, you know what? Yeah, you can do it right. You can be the person you're supposed to be and not do all the wrong things and not fall into the traps. As long as you're accountable to yourself and to others, you know, the impact you can make is endless.
Yeah. And, you know, I think too often we get caught up in, let's call, you know, whatever we choose to call a leader, as people that are, you know, they're out there, they have high profiles on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on this show, they're on that show. And a lot of the times we don't recognize that some of our most important leaders are the ones that are there with us every day.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And I mean, the people that have the most impact on us are the people that we live with, or the people that we spend time with, the people that we, see every day. That, maybe there's some people that we don't even give a second thought to, but I I read a quote once that said if you look around at your circle and you're spending time with a circle of people you're not in a circle that don't inspire you. If you're Let's try that again. If you are surrounding yourself with a circle of people that do not inspire you, you're not in a circle, you're in a cage.
Ouch.
Yeah, right? So, yeah, those people matter. Those Everybody that we are with, everybody matters. They all influence us in some way.
And in some capacity, all of us, each individual person is a leader to somebody
Mhm.
else.
Exactly.
Whether, you're a leader in your workplace, you're a leader, as a parent, you're a leader in your family, even within your own peer group. Your friends may not come out and say that they see what you're doing and what you're doing is causing them to take pause and change decisions in their life. It still happens.
Hmm. Sure. I mean, we're all probably impacting people that we have no idea we're impacting. So,
Yeah.
it's that old cliche of you like live like everybody's watching because they are. Right?
Especially now.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes to motivation, you know, you have your story of what motivated you to make this big change in your life. And, that probably helped define your why.
Hmm.
How can that help other people?
Wow. So there is a tool that I use with all of my clients, when they say that they want something or they've got a goal that they want, and I'll always ask them why. And they'll give me a why, like right off the bat. And I laugh because, I make them write it down, and then I put them through this exercise that I have for them. And inevitably it changes like it's not the same. And so I use this tool and I call it 7 levels deep. And when someone tells me, all right, this is why I want something, okay, then I ask them, well, why is it important to you that you, and whatever that answer happened to be, right? So somebody says, well, I want to change my career because I want to make more money. Well, why is it important to you that you make more money, right? So then we go down about 7 levels. And when you get to level 5 or 6, it goes from you answering from your head to answering from your heart. And everything changes. Everything changes around level 5 or 6. And all of a sudden you get to level 7 and you get the real reason why you want what you want. And I haven't put a client through that exercise that hasn't completely broken down, and the crying or the big revelation, the big breakthrough. And when you get there and when you really find out why you want something, that makes all the difference because it changes your life. So, I put myself through that tool early on in my whole little process here, this right from that story on. And when I got to level 7 for me, and it was all about legacy. It was all about what impact do I make on people and what do I leave here when I'm gone. And yeah, for my family, for my husband, for everybody, for my friends, like what is left? Because in the story that I told you, I saw what was left. Oh my gosh, thousands of people that were heartbroken, but so much different because they had the experience of knowing this person. So the legacy to me mattered a lot. So anyway, the tool, when you find out what your true motivation is, and when you really dig, and when you really find it, nothing can stop you from reaching whatever that goal was, because you know what really matters.
And it's true because it's something, again, I've been through a similar process myself when it comes to why is it that I want the things that I want? And, for me, part of what I do with with podcasting and some of the other things that I'm working on is I've been in a place of, being lost, in a place of, deep pain and uncertainty, fear. And I really, really had to struggle to pull myself up out of that and start to move forward. And for me, my why is about, I've been there. I know what it feels like to be like that. And if I can either help somebody from falling that far down, or if they are there, those baby steps to get back out, if I can just make that little bit of a change, then, I don't want somebody to feel and to go through what I went through. And if I can help them, then that's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
And it does, and it changes, because you're not, most of us are all getting up and going to work every day because we're earning a paycheck, and we need the paycheck to pay the bills, but that's not a why.
No. Oh my gosh, no.
And, you can say, okay, well, I'm going to keep doing this because I'm going to earn more money. Well, why? How much more? When is enough money?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you really doing it?
Yeah, and so many people, I think, don't look at that because they're afraid of the answer. That reveals something pretty deep and pretty personal, and so many people just aren't willing to go that far to find out, well, why do I want what I want? It's enough to learn for them to kind of live on the surface. If I can provide for my family, if I can provide everything that they want, okay, if that's real for you, I think you're fooling yourself.
But do you think some of that comes down to, a checklist somewhere along the line in life? There's this mysterious checklist that we've all been told that we have to abide by or live by, that, you do A, you do B, you do C, you do D. And, I don't think we've ever, or a lot of people don't realize that they can stop and ask
Mm-hmm.
why. First of all, who said these are the rules that I have to live by? And why do I want something different, or even know that they're allowed to ask for something different?
Yeah, our brains are a fascinating and hindering and enabling thing, right? So, a lot of our brains make decisions based on the past. So, our brain's primary job is to keep us alive. And if it's made decisions in the past that have kept us alive until now, that is the same way we're going to make a decision. So our brain makes the decisions based on past decisions, not on future possibilities. So that's the hardest thing for me as a coach, to really get through to people that, look, if you're saying no, you're not going to do this, it's because of a decision you made in the past. You're not looking at the possibility, and your brain is not allowing you to look at the possibility until you tell it to. Right? So, one of the phrases that I make my clients eliminate from the vocabulary is, I'm going to try to. Right? So trying is not a commitment.
No.
You actually cannot try to do anything. Right? And so I have a tree outside my office when I'm doing my consults, and I use this all the time. I said, if I were to tell myself I'm going to try to climb that tree, my brain says, oh, no, we are not trying that. We're not doing that. We're not even going to get up. And that's the end of that. But if I rephrase that and say, I'm going to figure out how to climb that tree, my brain can't help but go to the next step. Well, first you have to get up and go out there. And then you got to see where are the branches? Can you reach any of them? If you can't reach any of them, we got to figure out how to get, do we have rope? Do we have a ladder? What do we have? Right? You see that kind of process that starts. You can't help it. It actually will, your brain will do exactly what you tell it to do.
And, going back on that point, your brain does the same thing when it comes to fear and worry. When it comes up to worry, where something happens and you immediately start going down that path of worry and stress, typically you're going there all because of something that happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You're assuming that the same thing is going to repeat itself. Where, you know, if you notice that you're doing it, then you can change the story right then and there. It's like, okay, I know this happened in the past, but this time I'm going to choose that this is what's going to happen and this is how I'm going to handle it.
Yeah, yeah,
And your brain does. It just completely goes, okay, pivot.
yep, yeah. Actually, I also, I tell everybody, hey, how many times do you have the greatest idea in the world in the shower, right? Or driving, or that's because when you're doing those things, your brain is kind of on, it's it's on rote, it's doing things that we've done 1,000 times. You know how to do it, so it's not, doesn't really have to think about it. It's in the subconscious, so you've got room. And the ideas that you come up with in the shower or driving or whatever are usually things that you've given your brain permission to think about. Like, hey, I really want to do something fun and exciting and different for my family for dinner on Friday, let's just say. Instead of saying I have no idea what to do for dinner on Friday, right? Which immediately shuts your brain down and says, hey, I don't have to worry about that. Good. And say, I need to figure out what we need to do, right? It's in those moments, it's those kind of things that will come to you in the shower or driving, because your brain is whatever task at hand is being taken care of. So it gives you room, and you've given it permission. So you're going to come up with some awesome ideas if you just give yourself a chance, and if you just tell your brain, look, I want you to figure this out. You will.
And you also have to make sure that you don't either edit yourself or let that inner
Mm-hmm.
critic creep up and say, oh no, that's a bad idea.
Oh, well,
Don't do
yeah,
that. They're going to make
oh
fun
my
of you. Someone's
gosh.
going to laugh. Someone's going to do this.
Yeah, those negative. I don't know if you saw last week, I came across an article that was talking about we have like 70,000 thoughts a day,
Yeah.
and a ridiculous 70% of those are negative. What are we doing to ourselves? Like
Yeah.
70, like that is a ridiculous amount of things that are negative. So that's one of the ways that we are talking to ourselves. We're telling ourselves that's a dumb idea. You can't do that. You look terrible. Oh my gosh, why are you wearing that? Like
Yeah.
all
What if they
all of
laugh? What if they
those
make fun of
things.
me?
So
Yeah.
what? You know what? The worst thing that can happen to you in life is a feeling. Really, I mean, anything can happen, but it's how you think about it and how it makes you feel. That is the worst that can happen.
Yeah. Because once you sort of take away, because your feelings are, again, they relate back to past events.
Well, and how you think about whatever
And
is happening.
yeah. And, stopping yourself in the moment and being able to say, hey, wait a second, I'm feeling this way, but why?
Yeah,
What's it based on?
what's the thought that's creating that, right? So, you know, any circumstance that we come on in life is really a neutral thing, right? So anything that people feel different about all kinds of things. So if we look at the situation that we are in, the circumstance that we're facing, let's say I lost my job last week. That's a neutral thing because I lost it and I don't have it anymore. So the next thing is what is your thought that you're having about that? Is this a terrible thing that's going to ruin my life, or is it a great opportunity that I can do something that I want to do, or I can pursue something different, or something great is around the corner? What's the thought that you're thinking about it? Because that's going to make your feeling come out. Like, okay, whatever that thought I have is, if I feel like oh my gosh, I'm doomed, I lost my job, it's going to make me feel like crap, right? So, but if I think, oh, I lost my job and now, oh my gosh, I have the whole summer to pursue what I want because I got a severance package until the end of September or whatever. This is awesome, right? Both things completely change how we show up, what we do next, and the result that we get after that. So yeah, it makes a big difference how we talk to ourselves.
It does. And, even when it comes to setting certain goals, how you talk to yourself can also influence whether or not people set goals. Like you said, they try to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, whenever you mentioned try, I'm like, we're a Star Wars family. So every time you talk about try, it's like I just see little Yoda going, there's no
Yes,
try.
there
There's
is
no
no
try.
try.
There
You
is
know what,
no try.
oh my gosh, my coach actually gave us all, we were all in a big group, and she's like, here's a demonstration of try. When you're telling your clients about this, tell them to pick up a piece of paper and try to rip it in half. And they'll all do it, right? Everybody will rip it in half. And I'll say, well, you didn't try because you ripped
You've
it in
done it.
half.
Yeah.
It's you either like Yoda, you've either done it or you haven't.
Yeah.
There's no try.
But I think people get, it's also easy to get caught up in, you're doing something, you set a goal and you start working on it every day. Like, let's just say exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And then something happens, you fall out of your routine. You have two choices. You're at a fork in the road. You can either sit there and go, oh, this isn't going to work. I can't do it. I just can't find the time. Or you can choose to say, okay, I fell off. Tomorrow's a new day. Start again.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to forget that, and as corny as it sounds, is every day that you get up, you have a choice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And there's, when you're talking about the exercise thing, I go through that too a lot with a lot of people. It's when we learn things, our brain physically makes like little grooves that create
Yeah.
what we've learned. And to unlearn things is hard. But for a lot of my clients who are either in the weight loss realm or the I want to get in shape exercise realm, that's hard because you've never done it before. So you have to make that decision ahead of time. Really, you have to tell yourself the day before that, okay, because after work I'm going to go to the gym, I have all the good intentions in the whole world. Then you have a hard day at work, you're tired, you realize your brain is saying, oh my gosh, all these things, you're tired, you have to go home and make dinner, you have to buy a present for your nephew's birthday, you have to, oh hey, there's a great thing on Netflix I want to see, right? All the reasons not to. But if you make a decision ahead of time and say that you're going, and then you actually, man, go. I don't care if it's for 5 minutes. I don't care if you don't do anything other than walk in the door of the gym or whatever. You do it. You start forming a new pattern. And that's so important because, before long, I tell people, hey, you're going to really like going to the gym. And then you're going to start seeing results. And then because you're seeing results, you're really going to love going to the gym. And then when you miss going to the gym, you're going to really miss going to the gym. I said, believe me, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that with all of the
Yeah.
shutdowns. I've seen a lot of people, saying, I'm missing the gym. It's not just, the exercise. There's also a certain social component to
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that routine. They're used to going there because they form those habits. And, once our brain forms them, it's hard. It's really hard to break out of them and to learn new. You just have to teach your brain new things, so, it's a struggle for some and it's easy for others. Once you realize what it is you have to do, it becomes easier because it makes sense somehow,
So what are some of the the tips that you have to change that inner dialogue with yourself so that you do create those new habits?
Oh, wow. Well, one of them, again, it's to make the decision ahead of time. So one of the things that throws us off track so much is that chatter that we have at the moment of decision, right? All this conflict. We're arguing with our brain, saying, "I want that piece of cake," or "No, you can't have that cake." Nope, I said I wasn't gonna have, but it's good. Look how good it looks. Oh, they're gonna be like, when are you gonna have this again? Like all of these things. They're gonna, whoever made it is gonna be disappointed that you didn't try it. All of these things. If you make the decision ahead of time that I'm going to this party or this barbecue or whatever, and I am only going to eat this amount of this and this, I will have one piece of cake, I will have, whatever it is. Make the decision ahead of time and stick to it, because then when the point of the decision comes, it's going to be easier if you've made it ahead of time instead of allowing, every outside factor to play into it. So that's one thing. The just again, how you talk to yourself is different. You get the word try out of your vocabulary. You're not going to try to do anything. The other one that I always say is, I don't ever want to hear anybody say I don't know ever again. because that is giving your brain permission to not figure it out. Again, it goes along with that try thing a little bit. If somebody asks you a question about, I don't know, anything, how do you run a Facebook ad? I don't know. Or is it, yeah, I'll figure it out. I'm learning how to do it. I'm gonna look into it. All of those things. That's taking a step instead of giving up before you even allow your brain a chance. You know,
Yeah, I don't
vision.
think the I don't know flies that much anymore because there's so much information available to us at our fingertips on the
Yeah,
internet that
but you'd still have to find it. I mean, I don't know is an easy way to shut everything down as opposed to,
yeah,
"Oh, well, I don't know, let me find out and let's search for it or whatever. I mean, I don't know is a easy way out of not doing anything.
yeah.
So, um, well, so I tell my clients, instead of saying, I don't know, stop yourself and saying, but what would I do and what would I say if I did know? Well, now you got to come up with an answer, right? And that answer can be right or wrong, and it really doesn't matter because now, but you've got the brain going again, and you've got the thought process enabled, so you can figure it out.
Again, it comes back to our tricky brain always talking us out of doing things.
Yeah, and it will, because again, it's supposed to keep us alive, right? And if you haven't done it before, well, I don't know if it's going to keep you alive or not. So we better not. We better not
And
do that.
yeah, and often it keeps us alive by keeping us in our comfort zone.
Well, right, and also in that little triad of the brain, it's like it seeks pleasure, avoids pain, and tries to be as efficient as it possibly can. Right. So when you look at those things, it's like, yeah, okay, any situation, you're either pursuing pleasure, avoiding pain, or just not wanting to do anything. Right. So it actually being stuck is kind of the natural state to be when you think about how the brain's trying to work. Being right where you are, this is good because because I'm alive, I'm not in any imminent danger, all of those things. So yeah, sometimes though it is easier for some people to do those risky things, to do those daring things, to step out and what the heck, why not? What do I have to lose kind of attitude. And then on the flip side, it's easy for people to run from things because they're afraid. They're afraid of what's going to happen. They're afraid of, and all that's based on some of the really basic human needs. It's the stability, it's the status. People are afraid of that status thing changing all the time. Whatever, they don't want people to think certain things of them. They don't want people to say certain things. Well, that's all out of your control. And when you finally realize that, some of that fear starts to go away too.
It's a big hurdle to get over,
Yeah.
to go from worrying what people around you are going to think, do, and say,
Yeah.
versus just going forward and doing what in your core is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and that's really what holds most people back. And to me, that's, man, what a shame that is. Look at all the possibility that kind of just goes by the wayside because somebody was afraid of what somebody might say or think. Who cares?
And
Who
that's it,
cares?
is it's that leap, getting over
Yeah.
that, and it's just, I'm going to do me,
Yeah.
and what you think, say, and do, that's on you.
Yep.
I can't control that, so you be you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is what I spend a lot of time with people on, is just, you know, what would you how would you feel if you got whatever this thing was that you wanted? Just think about how that would feel. What would that change in your life, in your family's life, in your friend's life, and how would that feel? And I make them feel it. And I'm like, okay, what's the cost of not doing it or not going for it? Well, it's that you're right where you are. So you pick. Do you want to stay where you are, or do you want to feel like you just felt 5 minutes ago? And that's pretty impactful too. Like, because when people really feel something, it goes back to that motivation thing, right? What is your motive? When you feel it, when you really feel it and go, oh my gosh, I want that. I want to feel like that's how I want to feel. I don't want to feel like I feel right now. Well, in order for you to feel like that, these are the things you're going to have to do.
Yeah, you got to step forward.
So is it worth it or is it not? That's your decision. I mean, that's completely up to you, right? Do you want to stay where you are and continue to feel like you feel right now, or do you want to figure this out and feel like that?
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, if they feel stuck and they want to get unstuck, what's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
Well, they can either go to my website, which is gettingunstuckinaStickyworld.com, and see all about me and my story, and see the picture of me standing in the middle of a street. That's a great place, and I'm on Facebook at Robin Tefft Coaching is my page. You can check me out there, and yeah, I'd be happy to talk to anybody. All the contact information is in both of those places. So if you want to reach out, I'd be happy to talk.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Robin.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creative.
Life is like a roller coaster.